clouds forecast.
Welcome back. Well, stormy weather still on track for Acadiana later on tonight. It's been pretty much documented over the last couple of days. Damaging winds the main threat, a couple of isolated tornadoes. We won't have to worry about rainfall. This action is going to be moving through quickly, and hail-bearing storms should be minimal as well. So damaging winds and tornadoes the main threat. And as we look off to the west, we have tornado watches going across eastern Texas, severe thunderstorm watches and warnings, and those warnings continue up through Arkansas and then into Missouri too, severe weather. And on the flip side, there's flood watches up to the north, and then snow advisories, winter storm warnings, and ice storm warnings all the way up through the Great Lakes. Meanwhile, locally, not a whole lot going on. It's just been awfully breezy, and that wind's going to continue to increase. Tornado watch southeast Texas. This one is in effect till 4 o'clock in the morning. I expect additional tornado watches to be issued moving into Louisiana. We have one that goes into northwest Louisiana. That's until 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'll probably see more watches across the entire state overnight tonight. That means conditions will be ripe for the possibility of tornadoes and storms that will be capable of producing damaging winds. Now, on the radar this evening, not a whole lot going on. Most of the shower activity up in the northwestern sections from we'll go Beauregard into Vernon and Vernon Parish, and then off to the north into Sabine Parish. Some action as we get into the northern portions of let me get this out of the way and I will just bring it down. Already north of Marksville up toward Brulette and then off to the north. So not a whole lot going on locally with respect to rainfall here in Acadiana. So we'll open it on up again. Relatively quiet. It should stay that way for several more hours, but then things change probably after about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Once again, the Storm Prediction Center has most of Acadiana hatched in for an enhanced risk of severe storms. It's a moderate risk as you get into the northern part of the state from Natchitoches on northward, where there will be some strong tornadoes and damaging winds most likely. And then that enhanced risk moves off to the east tomorrow. That's after 6 o'clock tomorrow morning and should be out of the state by, we'll say 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. But here's one of the models that we talk about, and I showed this on my Facebook Live. This is called Helicity, and Helicity is kind of like a tornado spin potential. So if we have storms and you have red right here, which is high on the Helicity scale, there is more than likely going to be a few isolated tornadoes. So we'll watch for this red as we get to 1 o'clock in the morning. Here we are at 2 o'clock in the morning. We'll have to watch out for storms ahead of a squall line that's going to be here. So we're going to have maybe a couple of tornadoes in a squall, maybe a couple of tornadoes out ahead of those squalls in what we call discrete cells. And we'll show you that in just a bit. But you can see that spin potential across west central portions of Louisiana, and then maybe maximizing a little bit more so as we get into southwest Mississippi. Highest Helicities will be in Lafayette right with that squall line. That's going to be at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then conditions push off to the east thereafter. So here's our latest model guidance. Pretty quiet through midnight, a few spotty showers, not expecting any severe weather, but by about midnight, I would think a tornado watch will be posted at least for the southwestern part of the state and the rest of Acadiana by 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, or it may go all at once. Showers and storms developing at 4 o'clock in the morning, so we're going to have main squall and then these cells out ahead of the squall line. These are the ones that are going to show some rotation, so we'll watch that all the way up through Monroe, and you can see how those storms, and again here the discrete cells, main squall right here, so we could have a couple of tornadoes anywhere in Acadiana. And then as we get closer to 6 a.m., again, it's been consistent. That's when the nasty storms reach Lafayette Parish and Lafayette, and then 7 a.m. it looks like finally things consolidate into one squall area, and then that pushes off to the east and clears the easternmost parishes of Acadiana by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and NOLA by 10 or 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Following it, a little sunshine tomorrow afternoon, then turning breezy and chillier as we head into Sunday morning, upper 30s to lower 40s, maybe even mid 30s up to the north, and then partly sunny skies, plenty of high clouds Sunday, but it should be a nice day. Here are the wind gusts just over the last hour. We've seen gusts as high as 38 to 40 across the area. Currently 37 Lafayette, 38 in New Iberia. And as we look at the wind forecast overnight tonight, those winds ramp up, and what we'll be watching for these areas of purple, that's where winds will be hitting up to 50 miles an hour. Now, this is not a ground truth, but this gives the potential. So strong winds overnight tonight, that could lead to sporadic power outages, and then the storms move on through, and then you could see gusts higher than 50, maybe up to 60 miles an hour. So watch that very closely as the night wears on, and then things quieting down. Still breezy tomorrow afternoon, but the winds will be out of the west, and there'll be drying winds as well. So rain chances overnight tonight, 100% through tomorrow morning. Rain chances end by 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. After that, smooth sailing for the rest of the weekend. Then next week, an unsettled week for sure, with temperatures warming back up and on and off rain chances, and that will stay with us at least through a good part of the week, and maybe decidedly colder as we get into the latter part of next weekend and beyond.
All right, thanks, Ron.